The sun's come out and so have the bees. This tree is absolutely humming with them. Hi friends, welcome to Sunflower Hill. I'm Tina and I'm a single mum homesteading in southern Australia in Victoria. And today I wanted to talk about how to help your garden be pollinator friendly through winter. Now obviously this is climate dependent. If you have a fairly mild winter like I do, and pretty much all of Australia, unless you're up in the mountains in Australia, pretty much the whole of Australia, you have a sufficiently mild, the sun's come out, you have a sufficiently mild winter to be able to grow flowers through winter for pollinators. I'm going to show you some of my favourites today, but also be aware that the things that grow well in my area may not be ideal for yours. So have a look around and see what grows flowers in your local area. And comment down below, let me know what works in your area, what grows flowers through winter for your pollinators. And I'm sitting here, I'm going to turn the camera around now because brassica flowers are one thing that I've mentioned in the video, and then I noticed this. So I'm going to show you this right now. So this is a brassica that's gone to seed. I can't even remember what this is. It's got a bee on it right now. It's got a little bee in its bonnet. So letting brassicas go to seed, I think this might have been a kale. No, I don't think so actually. I think it's a cauliflower. Okay, so this cauliflower is flowering through winter and that's feeding the bees. These are absolutely excellent bees, absolutely love these. So it's midwinter in Australia where I am right now. It's July, literally the middle of winter, and we want to be feeding those pollinators. The reasons we want to feed the pollinators is because we want them coming back to our gardens and because we want to support them. I'm mainly showing introduced honeybees here. These are European honeybees. They're not native to Australia, but Australia also has a lot of native bees, and what will feed the European honeybees will also feed the native bees, and I will talk more about all of that through the video. Let's go and have a look. You know. So one of my absolute favourite winter flowers for pollinators, bees particularly, and I'm talking about European honeybees here, but I'm sure the native bees also love Hardenbergia, is this Hardenbergia. I'm going to insert a clip that I filmed about a year ago, in fact last winter, and just show you exactly how much the bees love this stuff. It's flowering at the moment, but it's later in the day and I think the bees have all gone home. I should have filmed this video a bit earlier in the day, but you can see they're exactly the kind of flowers that bees like, these simple flowers, and there's masses of them and bees just absolutely adore them. So a bit earlier in the day, this plant was absolutely buzzing and humming with bees. I'm not sure if you can get Hardenbergia overseas. They're an Australian native, but certainly you can get them anywhere around here. And you know, native plants in your area that have similar sorts of flowers and flower in winter, if you're in a mild enough climate to have winter things flowering in winter, are going to do the job for you. Native things are great, but yes, if you're in Australia, Hardenbergia, it's a climber, and it's a really, really, really excellent plant for feeding the bees over winter. Another really nice, just garden flower that's a favourite of bees. Anything that's in the sort of daisy type family. These are not the same family as daisies. These are African daisies. I'll put the actual botanical name on the screen so that you know what I'm talking about. And these guys do flower through winter. I don't think the Asteraceae daisies do flower through winter. I haven't seen them do that. So these guys flower pretty much all year, and they're really, again, very hardy. They're a low, more of a creeper, like a tall creeper rather than a bush. The Asteraceae daisies. Oh, what are you doing here, buddy? You're meant to be having brekkie. Come out, have ya? He has. Anyway, these African daisies are really good for small spaces because they do spread a bit, but you can put them in a pot and just clip them back. They're very, very robust, very hardy, very resilient, and they feed the bees through winter. So something worth considering for your garden, especially if you want low maintenance. And here's someone else. Hello. Hello, Ayla. Now, I filmed this the other day and the weather was much better for bees the other day. It was sunny, but you can see there's still a bee on there. Hopefully you can see that little guy. There he is. So this, thank you, interrupting rooster. This is a Banksia, and Banksias are, a lot of Banksias are native to Australia, but there are Banksias native to other places like South Africa, and I believe they can grow in a lot of climates around the world. I don't know how they'd go in, oh no, you'd probably get species of Banksia that grow in snowy, very cold climates as well. But anyway, they'll grow all over Australia, and they're fantastic for bees because this guy, as you can see, middle of winter, and it's not just flowering, but there are bees on it. And again, it's that consistency that you need, or that the bees need. And for a bit of fruit through winter, pomegranates. These have lost all their leaves, but they still have fruit hanging on there. And it's good to eat now. It's not just hanging on there dead or anything. It's good to eat now. You can see the little seeds. That's the bit that you eat. Spit out the seed. I don't know how anybody ever juices these things. That would be tricky because the seed is so big. But yeah, winter fruit, pomegranates, beautiful. So calendula is another plant that's fantastic, both in terms of its hardiness and in terms of flowering through winter. I mean, what's not to love about these? They also have herbal uses. They are used in tinctures and teas and things like that for various things, wounds, calming teas, that sort of stuff. Calendula are excellent for that, but they're also absolutely brilliant for flowering in winter and providing bees with a reliable food source over winter. The other great thing about them is that they just self-seed. So they'll produce these little, once the flower finishes, they produce these little seeds here. The whole head turns into seeds, and they literally just fall and produce more calendula plants all over the place. But again, easy enough to get rid of. They're not invasive. I certainly wouldn't call them a weed, but once you've got calendulas, you've got calendulas. So another excellent plant for winter flowers. Another fantastic winter weed flower is this flatweed, and I filmed this the other day. The other day it was sunny and it looked great, and now it looks like this. These are flatweeds and they flower through winter as well. They kind of look like dandelions, but the plant is quite different. This plant is way under there. I'll try and insert a photo of the plant itself and certainly the ID, but these are really, really good weeds, if you want to let a few of them go to flower over winter. They're really also very good for the pollinators. Lavender is an absolutely excellent source of food for bees. They really love lavender flowers, and it makes honey that's a bit lavender scented, got a little bit of lavender flavour and scent through it. So they're an absolutely excellent thing to grow in your garden for bees. Middle of winter, they're flowering, they smell amazing, and they're pretty. This particular one has been overtaken by boysenberry vines. This is part of the whole boysenberry clearing operation. So I just need to get in and dig out these last few vines. I've cleared out this whole area here of boysenberries. They were just choking everything. But this little lavender plant can now be free, and it is showing its happiness by flowering. So lavender, and again, another great thing to grow for flowers over winter. And I mean, flowers over winter are just cheering, but being able to feed, not just feed bees and keep them happy, but keep them coming back to your place, giving them a reliable food source so that they know to come to your place, is absolutely crucial. So this is the growth habit of the African daisies. And again, I'll put this, hopefully I should have put the botanical name on the screen by now. So they can grow a bit flat and sprawling if you give them the room, but they're a great ground cover if you've got a little bit of room in your garden. This one's growing with a lavender, and the colours are just beautiful together. The lavender's got that little bit of glaucous coloration, and it sort of goes nicely with the purple. So if you're styling your garden, it's a nice combination. And for the bees, it's a fabulous combination. Such a reliable flowerer. Another ground cover is pigface. Again, I'll pop the botanical name on the screen, but pigface again flowers through winter, and I have definitely seen bees on this. It's just not as good a day for actually seeing the bees today because it's not as sunny. We've had a tiny little bit of rain. Still very, very dry here for the time of year and for where we are, so we need a lot more rain. Still in a green drought, but these guys usually get a lot of bees on them. On a sunny winter day, you'll see bees all over these, and this is just pigface. There's quite a lot of different species in this family. You can get tiny little ones. You can get go to your local nursery, they'll have tiny little ones. These ones are local Indigenous food. The local Indigenous people ate these pretty much all over Australia, I think. These were eaten as a food source. You can eat the leaves. They're very mucilaginous, so maybe something to get used to. And once these flowers, this one is forming a fruit. You can see down here, you can see that this flower is forming a fruit in there, and those fruits are very much edible. Their best description is that they taste like salty kiwi fruit, and I may have talked about them in my weird unusual fruits video, so I will link that at the end. But that's how they start to form the fruit, and you can feel that starting to get sort of thickened and fat through there. It's starting to form a fruit in there, and then this is what the flower looks like. But yeah, the bees absolutely love these. Again, they're very, very flat. They're a ground cover and very easy to control. If you plant them in a rockery or under trees, no problem controlling them at all. They're very, very succulent. You just snap that off. I don't want to do that, but you just snap them off, just mow them, whatever. Very easy to contain. So I wouldn't at all consider these weedy. And they're indigenous to a lot of places, certainly in Australia, and I think over the world. Now this is a wattle, and you can see the little bee working away in there as well. Again, this is a native. This is native to the east coast of Australia, but not necessarily to Victoria where I live, but certainly adapts very happily. It's Acacia Baileyana purpurea. The purpurea comes from the really stunning purple coloration in the foliage. The foliage itself is quite glaucous. Again, it's that sort of silvery, bluish, greyish silver sort of colour on the foliage, but the new tip growth has a lot of purple in it, and it's an extremely stunning tree and flowers here in midwinter. The acacias in general tend to flower through, well, late winter and early spring, but this one's really an early flowerer. This one's more midwinter. So this is quite a big tree. It's not something that you'd plant in a tiny backyard, but if you've got a little bit of space, these are fantastic. They're really good windbreaks and they're really good shelter trees, but they're just stunningly beautiful. And can you see, this tree is quite young. I planted this maybe 4 years ago. It's about 4 years old, and already it's a fairly big tree. And probably can't see how many bees there are in this, but this is an incredibly reliable food source for them, because just look at how many flowers it's got. It's masses and masses and masses of flowers, and they really love these little balls, these little balls of flowers. They just love them. They're just all over them. Again, on a slightly sunnier day, we've had a bit of rain and there's clouds going over, so they don't tend to come out as much, but I can see one buzzing around there. There are multiple bees in this, and there's more up there. Actually, there's quite a few. There's quite a lot up there. So this is a really, really great species. If you can plant this, it's a really, really great species for attracting bees. There are other acacias. This up here, up there is an Acacia Mearnsii, or a black wattle. Those are certainly endemic to my local area, and they are extremely fast growing. That one, poor thing, has been chopped by the power core people. Another story. But they're also great trees. They're extremely good pioneers around here. They're fairly short-lived, so I use them as pioneer species. I grow them quickly, and then they provide shelter to other trees to get going, and then they will die off in sort of 8 to 15 years. But all of the acacias are really great pollinator feeders. They just flower a bit later in the season. So these guys, the Baileyana, the Acacia Baileyana, there's another just without the purple tinge, that's just Acacia Baileyana. Again, does the same thing in terms of flowers, but these are very beautiful trees, and they produce masses of flowers for the bees. So they're definitely something that, if you've got the room for a tree like this, they've got a spread on them, so you do need a bit of space. But if you are on land and you want some trees for shade, windbreak and massive pollinator attractors, these are an excellent tree to go for. The sun's come out, and so have the bees. This tree is absolutely humming with them. And this is a much more hale and hearty bush of calendula, or plant of calendula. I forgot this was up here, so that's what a nice healthy calendula looks like. That one down there had sort of self-seeded there and inserted itself in between other things, so it was kind of straggly, but calendula is a very pretty plant. And yes, again, the bees absolutely love it. Another type of plant that you might want to consider for pollinators is actually letting your veggies go to flower. These are broad beans, and I know not everybody loves broad beans, but even if you can't bring yourself to eat them, hello Jude, the cats are really keen to be part of things today. Hello. even if you can't bring yourself to eat them, and I am going to do a video on broad beans and how to make them, how to eat them at their most delicious, put it that way. They are excellent as green manure, but they are also excellent as pollinator attractors in winter, because you can see these flowers are just about ready to go. They're developing, they're nearly there, and they definitely will flower in winter. I'll insert a picture of the flowers. I did put a picture in a recent video, but I'll put another picture of the flowers, and the bees are all over them, absolutely all over them. So if you don't like broad beans, it's still worth growing a few just for the flowers. And these are growing on my little grid here, which is doing its job, which is fantastic. It's supporting them really well. I'm very happy with that. That's an idea I've wanted to do for years and just finally actually got round to, so I'm happy with that. But yeah, broad beans, excellent flowers in winter to attract pollinators. Okay, another type of plant that's excellent to let go to seed for attracting pollinators, and this is not so much winter, but sometimes you will get them bolting in winter if you've planted them a bit at the wrong time of year. This is a 2-year-old cauliflower plant. So brassicas grow like mad through winter. That's the best time to grow them in my climate, because in summer it's really hard to grow them around those white cabbage moths. They get eaten to nothing around here, especially because farmers plant crops of feed brassicas, and that breeds up those white cabbage moths to insane numbers, and they completely destroy my brassicas. So I grow them through winter, and they do, like here, bolt to seed. Now, as I said, this is a 2-year-old plant. I'm keeping this because I've actually had quite a lot of food still off it. That's the thing people don't often realise with brassicas, particularly with broccoli and cauliflower, that these can go for a couple of years. You can get really good usable food off them, and I'll insert a picture of some that I have picked off this only maybe a month ago for at least 2 years. I've tried growing them for 3 years, and then they get a bit woody and don't produce much. But in terms of winter flowers, this guy is the thing with the broccoli and cauliflower and the things that we eat as florets, is that the florets are just baby flowers. They are pre-flowers. They're just buds. They're just tightly packed buds. So if you let them go past when you would normally pick them, or let some of these little side ones go here, they do pop into flower, and the pollinators really do love those. The bees really love those. They're absolutely excellent for them. Any veggie crop that goes to seed, that bolts, bolting is just turning into flower, into like the florets turning into flowers. That's all that bolting is. And if they do that, you're really best to consider at least leaving 1 or 2 to do that, because they're really strongly attracting of pollinators, and the pollinators absolutely love them, and they're really great for feeding them through winter, and more late winter and early spring these brassicas tend to bolt to seed. And in fact, anything that bolts to seed and flower all through the year is really good tends to be very good pollinator food. Also, even things like carrots, they love those composite flowers. So a composite is a mass of tiny flowers, basically. And things like carrots and parsnips and things like that form these big heads of composite flowers, which are really great for pollinators, not necessarily right now in winter, but certainly in spring and through summer. They are really important to bring the bees and pollinators to your garden. But through winter, late winter, early spring particularly, let some of these brassicas go. Even consider if you've got enough garden space, consider keeping some. I know people with small gardens are going to be going, I can't do that, which is fair enough. But if you have got the space, it is a good thing to do. Even if you've got a pot where you can let one just go, just don't even, harvest the top and then let this all grow. They're very valuable for pollinators. So another good thing for pollinators through winter, even through spring and summer and autumn as well, is to just let some of your veggies go to seed or go to flower. So there are massive benefits to just thinking a tiny little bit further when you plant something, to flowering and to the role that they can play in your garden beyond just immediately providing you with food. And also growing flowers in your garden, there's a lot of purpose to that. It's not just frivolous or unnecessary. I went through a phase some years ago of only planting things in my garden that I could eat or use for medicine, and I felt very virtuous about that. But then I realized that actually two other things are really important. One is definitely pollinators. If you plant flowers, and especially things that flower all year, you will get pollinators, and the pollinators are really important, and biodiversity, obviously incredibly important. But the other thing is just joy. Have a garden that brings you joy, even if it's just a balcony, even if it's some pots in a window, grow lights, whatever. Make sure it brings you joy as well. Obviously, you're not going to get pollinators inside with windows shut, but anywhere else, anywhere that you can get pollinators coming in, give them some flowers, give them something to eat, and they will love you for it, and your garden will love you for it. But definitely a garden and a growing space should bring you pleasure and joy. So don't hold back on growing things that you love and on growing flowers. I don't hold back on that anymore. I am fortunate enough to have a lot of space, but even if you can put a pot of, pansies or some sort of flowers that you love, a daisy bush, whatever you can grow, it's definitely worth doing. All right, friends, that's about it for today, but please do let me know down below in the comments what you have noticed flowering in your area over winter, and what might help the bees in your area, because sharing information helps. And I can only talk about my climate, but you guys can talk about lots of different climates and help each other learn. If you don't mind, if you haven't subscribed already, I would love it if you could please subscribe just down below. I'm going to let this branch go that I've been holding so I can do this. Just subscribe down underneath the video here. It's completely free, but it helps me a lot, and it lets YouTube know that you want to watch my videos, and it will keep suggesting them to you. Also, if you liked the video, if you can please give it a like, that also helps the YouTube algorithm know that people are interested in my videos and keeps putting them out there for you. And for me, it helps me get going. All right, thank you so much everyone for joining us. So for now, it's hooroo from somebody who's having a nice relaxed day. All right, hooroo, till next time.